This winter season for anime has arguably been one of the strongest to the year in recent memory. I'm just blown away by the sheer quality and range of shows we're starting off with, from stunning sequels to bold, genre-blending adventures. There's truly something here for everybody. But before we go further, a quick disclaimer. Spoilers for early episodes, obviously, and I've also not looked into any of the source material. And let's start off with arguably the most anticipated show of this season. Solo Leveling. Season 2, Arise from the Shadow. I'm pretty sure I would have been called out if I didn't include Solo Leveling's second season. I'm always hesitant to include any second season on any of my lists, but it was only fair if I wanted to include the last anime on my list.
Foreshadowing as a narrative device.
Jinwoo is back with a more chiseled jaw and seemingly more powerful each and every episode. The action is gorgeous and the animation is fantastic. I'm not going to say I'm blown away by it. I can't pause at random spots and get a wallpaper, but man, Jinwoo died and became such a badass. That's honestly the real appeal of the show. If you want to watch someone truly go through a metamorphosis, becoming a monster, the ultimate killing machine, far beyond any, or at least most hunters could even imagine. While Jinwoo isn't unstoppable, it does raise the question to me, how much more powerful will he get? And at what point will he become max level? Is there even one? Oh, the deeper questions I have, but I won't pretend. This show is one I turn on for 20 minutes and I just enjoy the ridiculous, the power creep and the absurdity of it all. It's played so straight, which arguably is half the fun of watching something like this. It takes itself so seriously, which, hey, if it was any different, it would be a whole different show altogether. Regardless, it's a fun show so far. But with more seasons rumored to be in the works and a completed manhwa, we've got a long way to go at least, and I hope to see this story end, which with saying that, this story could improve, or it might just stay being a fun action show. I guess we'll have to see. From the most anticipated show to a show subverting a genre entirely. Welcome to Japan, Miss L. A reverse isekai with a simple premise. Kazuhiro, since he was a child, each time he sleeps, he's transported to another world, as he's perfectly content doing office hours expected of him, and to not climb the corporate ladder by staying out late and sucking up. Rather, he would like to go home, eat dinner, pack a lunch, and to be transported to his dream world, where he's learned to speak several of the world languages, and is a casual adventurer, making friends along the way. One of his friends he's made is Mariabelle. While dungeon crawling together, they happen to awaken a dragon, and upon having that dragon's breath, he wakes up, though the next thing he knows, he's been transported back, as he expected, but Mariabelle is sleeping right next to him in bed. From there, he shows her the food, sights, and sounds, and they begin to share this dream, real-world life together as he shows her Japan. Personally, I can't think of a lot of dream isekai, and while anime and other media do use dreams as a narrative plot point, such as Paprika and Dream Eater Mary, it's not quite on this same level. I might be wrong, but not only is this a unique, which is a plus for me, due to having Mariabelle learn what the rules are of going to and from between the dream world early on, I can relate to my first time traveling and that feeling of awe of just being somewhere new. While it's on another world for one of our leads, it still doesn't pander to this concept. Well, currently at least. But I can't wait to learn more about this dream world, which frankly feels like it's got a lot of depth to it due to the languages, the cultures, the expectations, and while having a dichotomy of Japan and that freedom to explore and see the sights and sounds for the first time. From one isekai plot, however, to another, from bureaucrat to villainess. Dad's been reincarnated. From the trailer alone, I knew I was going to absolutely love this show. Taking the sheer concept of having some middle-aged older gentleman who's now thrust into the role of a villainess was always going to be a combination that I would just adore at face value. However, the audacity for this show to translate his actions and to make his old body to the villainess, the how the words he says with fatherly endearment can be translated, this is cinema. When he does a bow, she'll do a curtsy. He thanks the chef, as that's something he always did at work. But then suddenly this turns into the trend and the it thing to do after you've had your meal, thanks to the standings and the respect as the villainess. I've watched some really funny shows which have made me laugh. This is my personal sense of humor, and I'm absolutely enthralled. The dichotomy of the villainess trying her hardest to be a villain, but exuding fatherly energy to have the reverse outcome puts a genuine smile on my face. This might become the show that when I'm sad or depressed, I might throw back on to just lift my spirits. And while it is early on, and it could become a very one-note comedy show, I'm still very much here for the vibes and the absurdity and the comedic timing. I'll gladly watch 12 episodes of this, and I'm eagerly awaiting the next episode right after I finish the previous one. Honey Lemon Soda. My maiden heart skips a beat every time the closing credits play, while my partner slowly gets more and more irritated by Yuka. This is an anime that has grabbed me by the simple factor that stuff starts happening right away. Kai doesn't miss a beat. It's clear, and there are callbacks and explanations as to why there is a connection between the two leads, and he understands what Yuka is going through. While there is still secrecy, my assumption and experience does posit that Kai either has a very loving family that's very forgiving, or his family abandoned him or are dead, which in turn has made him very forthcoming and forgiving, but strong-willed. It does have more production value thrown at it, and the supporting characters do offer a lot of depth and opportunities for the leads to really showcase who they are and what makes them both good and bad in ways. Rather than a lot of the show, it feels like they are bland or thrown into the background, or feeling like they are taking away from the show, which the leads could use to have more screen time. That's just not the case here. I will understand that its general premise has been done before. Timid girl and a strong guy. And if this is something that, while you're a fan of this sort of thing, it might turn you off. And I can't knock you for that. Regardless, it is that typical high school show. This is either your jam, and you'll absolutely enjoy watching this relationship grow from the characters, or you'll be irritated by them slowly edging for the whole show to just maybe kiss at the end. It's still early episodes, but I'm very keen to see how this show will go. Now, let's move away from school and talk about a legend. Sakamoto Days. This might have been the most hyped show this season outside of Solo Leveling. What's there to say? Well, if you've not given it a shot, Sakamoto Days is the idea of the world's greatest hitman falling in love and leaving that life behind to raise a family and to run a local mom and pop's convenience store. However, his former bosses don't approve of him walking away and have placed an outrageous bounty on his head, and his former protege is sent to kill him. But rather, Shin tries to convince him to come back, but Sakamoto won't be swayed and also now refuses to kill. A comedy show first and an assassin thriller second. Weirdly similar to Spy X Family in that sense alone, but I digress. Sakamoto Days walks that fine line of not taking itself too seriously, especially Sakamoto, but having Shin and others play the more straight-faced characters who are amusing to bounce off of, or that find themselves in these frankly absurd and outlandish situations. What's also good about Sakamoto Days is you can very much understand that it's your thing after one episode. I'm sure if you're not into slapstick comedy and action shows, this might not be your cup of tea. It's not highbrow, deep depths of comedy, but it is a very fun show. Sakamoto Days does a lot right with what it has, and its second season is already in the works for later this year. So if you like the idea or like watching this, we'll hopefully be eating good for a long time to come. And now for that final show that I did hint towards with the second season, My Happy Marriage Season 2. I personally left the best for last, and that might be a hot take, but for me, this is probably the single best show of this whole season. We're already getting something I asked from this show to give us when we get a second season, payoff right away from just watching the show. I felt rewarded for sticking with this show. I mean, I was always going to stick with the show. My Happy Marriage has an incredible character narrative. The story and the stakes within it are raised and lowered as and when it's required, but it keeps you on the edge. It never wants you to fully let you think that Mio is out of the woods, while also having breathtaking shots and music put in separate. My Happy Marriage picks up right after season 1 and the OVA, and it raises the stakes. While I won't spoil any of the story for those waiting for the full season to come out, it enforces a lot of the importance of overcoming your past and the expectations of those placed on both of our leads, while they grow closer and not only learn to trust, but to rely and depend on one another. It's clear that that might not be enough, and they might have to become even harder adversaries. My Happy Marriage seemingly doesn't want me to stop watching the show. They made it purely for me. I didn't even know about it till the first season had a few episodes out and it was recommended for me. 2025 is setting up to be an incredible year. Zenshu, I'm getting married to the girl that hates me in my class. I may be the guild receptionist, but I'll solo level any boss to clock out early. Dr. Stone, Science Future, and The Apothecary Diary Season 2 are all shows that I would recommend at least watching the trailers for, and that others have already got on their top list of shows. There are some amazing sequels and some other incredible shows that are piquing my interest for later this year as well. But what about you? What are the shows that you're enjoying so far? Or is there anything that you've got your eye on coming out later this year? Let me know. But with that all said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.